Hey everyone, Greg here. As you may know by now, I'm the co-founder and CEO of TripShock, an online reseller for water sports and tours. For the past 12 years, we've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of operators across the country, and we're looking to grow our community. It's free to sign up, and you only pay when we bring you confirmed bookings. We'll help you reach new customers, fill empty seats, and grow your business like so many have done with us over the years. Head over to partners.tripshock.com to learn more about our program, read testimonials, or speak directly with our supply team. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, and we're back for another episode of our two-part series of mistakes you make in your first year of business and maybe even your second year or third year.
Spending lots of money, like when you start doing well and start spending like lots of money on dumb shit. Like, you know, like I was like, I'm thinking about getting a Lamborghini, you know? I can't afford it. I can't even afford the down payment.
What is your dream car? Like, if you could have any car right now, what would it be?
What was my dream car?
Like, what would be your dream car?
Like a flying car, like something from the Jetsons. Man, I'm not a car guy, dude. Like, so I've got an F-150 and it's like my work truck / like everyday drive. And then I had a work truck and it like completely fell apart. It was like this $3,000 bag of rags and it fucking fell apart. So, I can't remember like what happened. Like I was like doing both and I was like, I can't, like, I'm going to go out and buy like a $10,000 truck. So my family was in town and I went and bought, I needed a 7-seater because it's like, we have 5 of us and then we had mom and dad with us. And so I'm like, man, I need a 7-seater. So I really like got into like looking at these SUVs. So I ended up with a Lincoln Navigator. And I'm just like, man, this thing is like really cool. I wanted it to have 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and I wanted to have a tow package on it because I'm like, I'm like, well, if I got somewhere, I need to pick up a boat. Like, I need 4-wheel drive, I need a tow package, I need a 7-seater, and it was like literally was like either that or a Cadillac Escalade. So this thing is like pretty fancy for me, and I still feel weird driving it sometimes. I'm like, now we're going into off season. I want my F-150 back. But I'm not like a super huge car guy. Like
me neither. Everyone's like,
man.
"Oh, you're from Detroit and you're not a car guy," and I'm like, I just don't care about cars. Like it's something I drive to get from A to B. Now, my dad has a 1965 amphibious car.
What?
Fully restored.
What?
Amphicar, they're called.
What is that? It can go in the water?
Yeah, it can go in the water.
That's so weird.
It's a German car. They only made about maybe 5,000 of them total between 1960 and 1965. I believe. I could be wrong on the dates, but my dad owns one. It sat in our garage in our family for 30 years. And then my dad finally, probably longer than that, maybe 40 years, my dad finally got it restored, fully restored. Everything. It's a really sweet car, runs and everything. And then he also has a 1930 Model A, and he's in the process of restoring that. And then it's funny because these cars, they sat in pieces in my garage as kids for years, and now my dad's retired, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna get my cars fixed.
So when it comes to like stupid stuff, like with like money, so I'm never like a fancy pants kind of guy, obviously, but I'm into watches in the last year. And I've gotten I got like a couple of my buddies into watches. And so I've really been into watches, and I've spent like way too much money on watches for me. Like in the last year, it's been like a hardcore obsession of mine. Like when I get to 9 figures, like we all have goals. Like I want to take over the world, but I would like to one day say like I run 9 figures. Like I want to get to $100 million in revenue at some point in my life, regardless whether I'm not going to get into that stuff. But it's not being a fancy guy. For me, it's just a part of playing the game. I love entrepreneurship. I love building companies. Like it's fun. That's what I like to do. But if I get to that much money, I would have no idea what to do with it. But I could spend $1 million in watches, no problem. This is my newest. I acquired this just recently.
Wow, nice.
It's a Hublot, and it's like pretty low key. It's not super like you wouldn't think of it as like a crazy nice watch, but it's actually a crazy nice watch.
To me, it's all about the journey, not the destination. Like money to me is the destination. Journey is building it and seeing what I'm capable of doing. That is the exciting part. So like money to me, and I hate to say this because some of you probably listening are like, fuck, like he's an asshole. But I just don't care about the money as much. Like I live very frugal because it's all about building and the process of making it. That's the exciting part. Like to me, that's like the currency is seeing what I can actually do. How can I push myself?
Yeah, I got some buddies that get crazy with the cars and like, man, and watches and spending lots of money and shit like that. And it's just like, it's like I get caught up with them sometimes and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'm just like, what am I going to do with this now? Like, this is silly. I'm like with you, and it's like, Destiny, we've scaled pretty well in the last 4 years, and now we're starting another business, and I've been like so re-energized with life. Like, it's just like I don't care. Like, there could be like $10 million in my bank. I'm like, that's cool. Like let's start another business. That sounds like so much more fun. But with that being said, that kind of like leads us into the topic of fucking like making all of these mistakes and like money,
the journey,
man. Like money fucks things up so bad for guys. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and I know we had an idea of like where we were going to start this episode off, but now that we're talking about it, like, like the money issue, like money can really fog things up. If you have too much, or God, if you don't have enough, if you're making decisions based on money, if you are pinching pennies too much, if you're not, doing the right thing because you're like, we call it stepping over a dollar to get to a dime. Where you're like, oh, I'm not going to invest in people. I'm not going to invest in my equipment. And I'm not going to invest in marketing, because I don't want to put up that upfront cost, or, this is not a tangible asset that I can sell, because you're scared of investing into, these different avenues. It's like, man, you can really fuck it up. Like, again, if you're like trying to be that guy that does everything, I'm going to fix my own shit and I'm going to do my own marketing and I'm going to try and do it all. It's like, and you are stretching yourself so thin, and then you're doing things that aren't even in your lane because you're trying to save money rather than hiring somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing. And it's like, well, now you kind of have like a shitty product,
Yeah. And, I was a little stubborn when I started Alabama Extreme Watersports. I had an opportunity to buy all new skis or all used. I said, okay, well, if I buy all used, I can get 8 skis. If I buy new, I can get maybe 3. Actually, probably less than that, probably 2. But I bought from people that I trust and I know who took really good care of their equipment. So I feel like I got better than if I bought it from just a residential owner who doesn't have proper maintenance protocol. But it really killed me buying used still. And I was told to buy new, and I could have afforded new. And what happened was 3 of those skis went down pretty much for the whole year. And the other few, I had maintenance problem constantly. And if you're a small operation and you have to use a third party maintenance person, you don't have one on staff anyways, you're not going to get your ski back in any reasonable time, because there's several other companies and private owners too that are in line. So back to the thing about, you said stepping over $1 to make a dime. If I would have just said, screw it, I'm going to buy all new skis, I'm guessing that I would have had pretty much all those skis for the remainder of the season and made way more money, because when those skis are down, oh my gosh, like each one of those skis is generating 30, 40,000 a year potentially. So big mistake on my part. Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsors for the month, AMP Agency. AMP is a full service digital marketing agency that specializes in tour, rental, and destination marketing.
We would not have sponsors on the show if we could not vouch for them ourselves. AMP Agency does a bunch of stuff for Destiny Water Adventures personally. I 100% vouch for this guy. I've handed them over to other companies in the past before they officially became a sponsor, and they have had nothing but great things to say. If you guys are doing your own marketing and doing a piss poor job of it, do yourselves a favor. Hand yourselves over to AMP Agency, specifically Steve Edwards, their CEO, will call you personally and have a great conversation with you about what you guys need to do for your marketing.
Listen, guys, they do pretty much everything in digital marketing: website development, maintenance, Google AdWords, PPC, graphic design, social media management, SEO, and a myriad of other things. When you choose a marketing company, it's so important to choose a company that knows your industry. And AMP Agency knows activity marketing, especially water sports and tours. They got a promo going for Awkward Watersport Guy listeners for their managed websites. Use promo code Awkward Podcast when you go to amp.agency. So again, that's amp.agency, promo code Awkward Podcast. You get 3 months free and get started with AMP Agency. All right, guys, let's get back to the show.
There's nothing like boats that are just so well known for holding up over time and really not having to put a lot of money into. It's like, oh yeah, get a used boat, man. It's fucking 10, 15 years old. That should be great. This is an old adage. What is it, like bust out another 1,000? Yeah, put that in the commercial world and try busting out another 10, or actually busting out another 100,000. Or busting out another 1 million, because at the end of the day, man, like when you start getting bigger, like, man, your shit going down is like the hardest thing. But yeah, money influencing decisions. And it's one thing that we see like almost on a daily basis. People do not want to invest in their marketing. Like it is, I see it as being the most, like, you probably love it. Like they have no problem putting up 20% on the back end, but they don't even put up 10%, 5% on the front end. A marketer calls them up and gives them a bill for their services. Man, these guys are like, fuck that. You know what I mean? My kid knows social media. We'll just pay them to do it. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Going back to like the family, I hear a lot of like, oh, my brother-in-law is going to come work part-time, or my cousin's going to come and lend a hand and help me out. And sometimes that's necessary. But if you are really looking to scale this up and grow it, and you got people who don't have vested interest, they're not officially part of the team, they're not getting paid really well, or they're doing it for under the table, you got to take all this in consideration, that these people are not the most reliable in the world. And at any moment, you could have a huge day and people aren't showing up, or they're not trained properly, they're not wearing the uniforms and all this other stuff. And again, you're trying to go the easy way out of maybe getting a friend or family member to hopefully volunteer for cheap, and not actually going through the process of onboarding someone, training them, and holding them to the fire a little bit. Because when you hire a family member or friend, they're going to already feel like they are special in some way.
Here, real quick, Greg, I hate to take you off a tangent, but like, I feel like we just split a topic here. And so I took us into marketing, you took us into friends and family. Yeah. I would like to converge those two ideas. And because you see it with social all the time. It happens all the fucking time. My cousin does social. My niece does social. It's like, because someone's 20 years old and is on a platform, they understand how to market on that platform. And I know, like, the idea was that we were going to start this week's show as a continuation of last week's show of making these mistakes, and we were going to lead into marketing. I took us on a tangent and money, but all these things all come together, right? So people are trying to do shit on the cheap. Their sister knows marketing, because you see it happen with social media like all the fucking time. People always hire somebody to do their social media. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of credit to having somebody on your team that's putting together content for your social media manager. I'm very notorious for this. I'm really bad about this as well, getting content to our social media manager. He's fucking listening right now. He's probably like, you motherfucker, you are the worst. But people do this where they make the content gatherer, they make their person their like chief marketing strategist, and it's their 20-year-old bonehead kid that fucking is going to college for something not even related to it. And they're like, no, they're going to handle our social. And then they're not doing, any type of distribution on a regular basis. They're not running ads. They're not doing remarketing because they're not a fucking marketer. They're like a fucking going to school for like, dental hygienist or something. I don't know. See it happen all the time, and they don't want to put any money into their marketing in general. But then they have no problem. Like I talk with people about this all the time. Like when you are paying for marketing and you're not including that commission in a part of your marketing budget or even in your projections for your marketing costs. It's like, well, like I think we talked about it at the conference and I brought this up. It's like, so you don't cost of acquisition, right? Like either you can pay you 20% or you can pay Google whatever, you're paying 15%, sometimes 30% if somebody's doing it wrong for you. You're putting in the fees. At the end of the day, you have to go back, look at what you've paid commissions, what you paid affiliates, what you paid Google, what you paid management, and understand that is the total cost of marketing, total cost of acquisition, and you have to look at that number all together. The people never do that. They're always like, what, 20% or 30% or whatever it is. It's like, well, in addition to this, because if you just cut that whole side of things out, then there's meat on the bone you could potentially be, leaving out there. So I just always find it funny that people aren't looking at this as a large view of the picture of their total marketing spend. I mean, obviously this is your realm. Like you have this down to a science. So you were the one who wanted to talk about marketing. So I don't know. Let me pass the mic to Greg.
No, I see it all the time. And I mean, even when I started Trip Shock, I was very tempted. Like I brought my brother on to do SEO and a lot of tasks. Mike actually is now our VP of marketing. He's been with the company for a long time. But
so fuck everything I just said. Your brother. Actually, if you're in the Fort Walton Beach market, hire your brother.
But here's the thing that was different. My brother actually possessed a skill set. And it wasn't like, oh, Mike, you know how to use Facebook. Why don't you become our social media market manager? Like that is the problem, is that you're just someone might like to post on Instagram. They're not necessarily have the skill set to understand the back end. Like, my brother is our SEO guy. He oversees all of our marketing, but from a young age, he's already developed those skill sets. And it's not to say that you couldn't develop one of your employees to become that person, but just understand like what you're getting into. And that is just a kind of a scary thing, because you're trying to decide what you want to be. You might not have your entire business plan together. You're just trying to figure it out. And especially in water sports or tours, we kind of fly off the seat of our pants sometimes. And it's not a terrible idea to do that, because you never know what's going to hit. You never know what's going to happen. But one of the things that I really want to drill down when it comes to marketing is you're going to be hit up with so many offers, magazines, billboards, rack card distribution, Google ads, all this stuff. On year one, you have to focus more transactional than brand. Not to say that you shouldn't wear shirts with your logo on it, have a great logo that represents your business, do all the typical things that you should when you're building a brand. But should you go out and spend money on expensive billboards? Should you have every ad in every magazine? I've seen this happen. These companies, they go ham on their advertising in year one, like they're a multi-million-dollar company, and they don't know. They're not tracking it. It's like the best way to get business in that year one is going to go to sources that the customers, like Google ads, for example. People are searching for your product or the category of your product. You can grab them as transactional. You can track it. Those are the things that just work out really well. But I do see people, they get so excited because they started their business. They got their LLC. They start buying their boats. And now all the advertisers start swarming them, and they're just signing contracts left and right. I see billboards for companies that have they're a 6-pack boat. I mean, how much business can you really get with a 6-pack boat to spend $15,000 for a billboard? So
So I'm going to play devil's advocate to that because as far as your long term as far as your long term strategies are concerned, like Douglas asked us when we were doing like the hot seat at the forum, he was like branding versus marketing, and I was quick to say branding, even though historically I'm like a big marketing guy. Like we fucking spend money, man. Like we want to be everywhere. But at the same point in time, I think there needs to be a strong sense of branding, because in the long term, you want to lower those costs. Like, yes, you're going to spend a lot of money. You're always going to spend a lot of money, but acquisition's always going to be front of mind. It's always going to be, I'm always looking to acquire new customers. Because at the end of the day, I want my old customers. I want new customers. I want to continue to grow. Like I'm, up until I can't grow anymore. But I want to lower those acquisition costs. And the only way I'm going to be able to lower those acquisition costs is through me marketing. And the only way I'm going to do a great job of remarketing is through my branding. So we want to remember who we are.
I think that year one, you have a stronger emphasis on marketing.
Absolutely.
Year two, 50-50. And by year three, you should be pulling away on the branding side. And so
pulling away on the marketing side, you mean?
No, I would say you should be pulling off from the marketing and focusing about branding. And how that relates, let me give you real world examples. So year one, if I had to start a business today, let's say I bought 10 skis and 10 boats and I started a business today, I would focus transactional. So Google ads, Facebook remarketing, anything that I can get, like if I'm at a marina, any ways that I can acquire customers, walk up traffic, stuff like that. I would really focus on transactional. When people are searching for boats, I'm there and I'm converting. Year two, you're going to see me probably mix up some branding, and that would be maybe some ads within some local travel publications. You're going to see partnerships with CVBs. I'll be probably more in person at events, getting to know more people, building my network. Year three, and again, for every year, I'm still going to be doing a lot of marketing stuff like Google ads, transactional stuff. That's never going to go away. Year three, depending on where my business is, you might see a billboard near my location. You might see an increase in partnerships with other businesses, hotels. You're going to see my logo other places around town. Because I am now developing my brand. By year three, you're going to be getting a lot of repeat customers. And so you're going to see remarketing on the email side. Hey, you've been with us last year, come back. That's when the branding stuff, we're going to be reinforcing that through social media and everywhere. So that's kind of how I would do my trajectory for year three. And then going from year 4, 5, 6, if you go to any tourist destination, you'll see that the biggest brands in your market are really pushing their name within billboards, airport advertising. They're really pushing it. At that point, your business is one of the larger companies in the area. You are pushing brand. You go to Key West and it's Fury, it's Sunset. I mean, they are all over. They are now entrenched in their market, and it's about brand exposure. They want people to see their name many times because they have a ton of inventory and they're looking for market share.
So we've done money, we've done marketing, we've done, God, what were the first two? I feel like we've come so far. It's been a week.
Partnerships.
So what other things are people getting wrong in their first year and their second year and their third year?
So we haven't touched on one important thing, which I'm glad we're going to save for last year, which is safety.
Golly, man. It's like,
I hate that we're having to even bring this up, because that should be not even a mistake, but you got to understand that if you make any mistakes in regards to safety, you hurt somebody, and you're negligible, you are not only going to lose your business because the insurance will drop you, you're going to lose respect from your community, especially if it's someone that's local that gets hurt. you will do, it will be a downward spiral for you. So I'm going to leave it to you, Kevin. Like, what are some of the things you see that first year business making mistakes? Because I have some, but I mean, from an operator, I think.
Man, this is like, I want to like just like drill down on motherfuckers who get into my industry. And I'm going to say my industry with dollars in their eyes, man. You know, like it really pisses me off because I see a lot of corners get cut. I see a lot of mistakes get made. I see a lot of people doing stupid fucking shit like time and time again. And I'll tell you why it pisses me off, because it costs me money, because my insurance premiums go up because of your fucking dumbass decisions. And it's like, and people get hurt and people get killed, and it hurts the industry, and it hurts the industry in irrevocable ways, like ways that you can't come back. You know, I can't tell you how many times we've heard like fucking parasails on the chopping block because nobody wants to cover it. People are just as concerned about jet skis in this industry that that insurance companies are not going to cover it. And it's like, you've got no fucking right in this industry if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And if you're putting money first above people's fucking safety, you deserve to fucking be tossed out on your ass, not covered anymore, and drummed out of town. And it infuriates me because it's like, now we've got to fight things like moratoriums. We have to meet with local governance, you know, because people are making, you know, bullheaded mistakes because it's like they're so like, oh, the money, you know, I'm going to get so rich. And it's like, when I'm sitting here talking about like, oh man, I love the journey and I love building this thing and I love doing things right. And I love this industry so much. And I love building new products and services. And the same thing, some greedy fucking asshole comes in from behind me with zero experience, but money to do it. And they do it wrong because money is first and fucking the experience is second, and it costs somebody potentially their life. And so I'm going to get off my high horse now and I'm going to step down. So the thing is, if you want to get into this industry and you want to do it right, again, I'll bring it down to networking, you know, like get educated, you know, find out, look at what operators that are doing great, that have been in business for 25 and 30 years. And even sometimes they're still getting it wrong because they've done things a certain way and it's always worked and blah, 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 blah. And then fucking, you know, but look at their equipment. Look at like, are we replacing things that need to be replaced every single time? Like if you're a parasail guy, go to the operator symposium. If you're a jet ski or boat rental, listen to our fucking show. My God, come to our events, join our Facebook page. Get your captain's license. You know, it's like Sean Walsh from Jet Ski Texas. You know, he made a post on Facebook. They had this great year. And it's like, man, he's going to get in his, like, start there. Get your 6-pack. Get your masters. Like, it's like, I don't care how many years you have as a recreational boater, or if you grew up with your pap on the fucking lake, you know, you've been around boats your whole fucking life. Those guys are some of the scariest motherfuckers on the planet. You need to surround yourself with industry professionals that know what the fuck they are doing. Like, start getting educated, and remember, money comes second. People's safety and experience always comes first.
Well, let's drill in, just we have a few minutes left. Let's drill into just a couple things when it comes to safety. And I'm going to go to the waiver side and the check-in process. So Kevin, your check-in process is probably one of the best in the industry. But I've been to many locations and the check-in process varies wildly depending on the company. And some of them are just outright reckless because if you're not getting all the information, validating people that they can actually do this stuff, it could be the end of your business. And one thing in particular is your waiver process. And the waiver process is just sometimes a shit show, especially you got like a group of people that are going on a boat. And now they require everyone to have their own waiver, correct? It used to be like a group waiver.
No, I mean, people make amendments to their waivers, and we've had people ask in the group, like, hey, who do you know, like, an attorney that's like, no, man, you need to talk to your insurance company and don't change your fucking waivers. Like, the insurance company has got an attorney that writes those waivers, and they have that for a reason. They don't want you making amendments to the waiver. We made that mistake in year one. It was just so everybody could sign the same sheet. And my insurance underwriter was like, no, don't do that. Everybody needs to. So another thing that we do is we make that digestible. So people sign the lawyer one, and then I have them sign another one saying, like, listen, this is what this is saying. It's like, don't get drunk and drive a boat. Don't jump off the boat while it's underway. Don't take the anchor and wrap it around your neck and use yourself for an anchor. Like, it literally, there's things like people have read I would call it the digestible waiver and go of like, what have people done on these boats that you have to explain this to them? It's like, well, no, this actually says shit. Like one of my favorite things in the first flight waiver was, do you suffer from extreme giddiness? Like, something happened where somebody sued somebody where they're like, I was so giddy. I would suffer from extreme giddiness. And they're like, oh shit, we got to add extreme giddiness. I don't even know what extreme giddiness is, but it just goes to show that some of these lawsuits are so frivolous, and people are not accountable for their actions or anything that they're doing, that like something has happened where the insurance company had to add this. So we really want to, just make sure people really understand, hey, you can't sit outside of the rails on the bow of the boat, because if you fall off, there's no brakes on this fucking thing, and you're going to, your dad's going to run you over. You're not going to jump off the top of the bimini or 10 feet off the top of the boat into a foot of water, because you're going to break your neck. Like, you have to explain this and then explain it to your staff, because you have a 21 or a 22-year-old kid out there who, like, you have to train and train and train again, because like as we talked about in the last episode, like, you have to be flexible. Shit's going to happen. Things going to happen in left field that you did not expect. So you have to make sure your staff is 100% prepared, because you might have somebody that's been on your staff for 3, 4, 5 years and just been like, what? Why would you even think that? I had a kid the other day. I missed that the registration on the boat had expired, because we have different expiration dates on different boats, and we had GPS trackers, and that boat was not being sent out. So somebody pulled the GPS tracker, and we had one boat going out that day, and the kid's been with me for 4 years. What boat do you think he fucking sent them out on? The boat that was not registered and fucking didn't have a GPS tracker. I said, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, out of all of the boats that you could have sent out today, we've got 6 in the water. You picked the one that I consider to be the most dangerous. Well, what do you want me to do? Go fucking get them. Get on a jet ski, go find them, bring them back. Don't want them getting pulled over and getting a ticket. Don't want them fucking getting lost because it doesn't have GPS. And I mean, so it's like, if you're not training and retraining your people every single second, even if you think it's the dumbest thing that you have to, like, let them know again, because a lot of times these are young guys, young women that you have working for you, and you have to keep your eye on them and make sure that even if they've done it 100 times, that we're going to go through this every year. I don't care how long you've been in the industry or how long you've been in my organization. We're going to fucking have this conversation about safety and about things that happened from years previous. And we're going to drill that into our organization and our staff's head, so they can drill that into the customer's head, that education is absolutely paramount to keeping people in one piece on the water.
Yeah, I agree. And just to kind of just kind of wrap it up with the point you made. If you are looking to make any amendments to your waiver, or just getting a waiver in general, because I had someone message me and ask this question about, where do I get my waiver? Talk to your insurance company and make them give you the waiver or direct you of where to get it done. Because if you use someone else for your waiver and there's an incident, the insurance company's, well, you used the wrong waiver, we're not going to cover you. Yeah. I mean, that could happen. So let them drive the conversation about the waiver. Don't go out and try to cut corners to try to get something done cheap, and definitely have a solid process that is replicated the same way every single time someone comes up. That is a huge mistake people make in year one, is that they just are loose on it and you can just see your investment get pissed away when someone gets hurt. And that goes back to hiring your friends and family who don't give a shit, that are getting paid under the table, that are going to cut corners even more. So just think about it. It's not good. But we are at time, and I hope we covered a lot of stuff in these 2-part series, and there's probably 10 other things too.
Yeah. So, and here I'm going to put one last period on this whole thing. Okay. Don't make the mistake of not listening to every single episode we've ever recorded. If you are going into your first year and you're trying to learn something about water sports, guys, we got a fucking encyclopedia of shit. Like, we've gone deep dives on all of these topics, more in depth: insurance, safety, marketing, hiring, logistics, standing operating procedures. This is what we're here for. So if you guys have any questions about any of this shit, if you're going your first year, if you're going your 20th year, check your fucking ego and reach out, because we might not have the answers, but we might know somebody that does. So yeah, man, this has been a great episode. I've really enjoyed this one.
Good. All right.
I got to get angry and swear. So it's awesome. Not a great episode if I don't get pissed off about safety.
All right, everyone. Well, hey, we appreciate you checking in with us and listening. As always, go to our Facebook group, Water Sports and Tour Professionals. Follow us there. Also, we got the Awkward Watersports Guys Facebook page that we post all of our episodes. And we love to have you join our community and continue the conversation. So as always, thanks for listening. Keep it awkward.